Hello everybody, Keith here again. I've got some repotting to do. My voice may sound a little different today because I've got a different camera in use which has a built-in microphone rather than the separate microphone the other one uses. So I've got 4 plants I want to have a look at. There's Dendrobium oligophyllum. I've been told that is going to be something of a pain to do because it's got a very fine root system, so I'm going to have to be a bit cute with that. And that might not get done, might get done. I have got some new growth, so being a dendrobium, that's a good time to do it. Another dendrobium, this is my kingianum variant silcockii. It's been in the same mix and the same pot since I bought it. Getting on for 18 months or so ago now. It could do with a look at. I'm not completely thrilled with it as it is, although it flowered for me this year. I want to try and get it possibly into a bigger pot, but certainly move back and at least what's in the pot, I think, with that one. This is my white Twinkle, which has been looking sickly for a little while now, and I have repotted it once fairly recently, but it's ridden up. For some reason I don't understand, it's ridden up in the pot, and its roots are now well clear, and some of the older pseudobulbs are dying off. We have now got some new growth, so I'll have some new roots fairly soon. And I think, again, this is a good time to have a go at it. Last but not least, this No ID Phal. It's been in this pot a very long time now. The roots are way up and need to be pushed down a bit. It's still in spike, but that spike's been going for a while. It's got a new leaf coming, so if I lose the spike, well, I shan't be too worried. So I'll start with that because that's going to be the easiest one to do. That was done on the 2nd of March 2020, according to that little stick. So not too long ago. The media should be fine. It's got a mass of roots in the bottom of here. But I think the pot's just got a little bit too small for it. We all know that orchids like to be under-potted rather than over-potted, but I think when you can see that these roots are starting to come upwards, they go down, turn around and come back out again. They're not in the greatest of condition, but I think most of them are fine. I think they've just got trapped against the walls of that pot. Well, it isn't going to go back in that one, but I think that can go quite happily into something very similar but a slightly bigger pot. So what have we got over here? There wants a wash. Side. Most of those are going to be too small. What else have we got? So, nothing great. Yeah, that's too small as well. So I'm going to have to halt this recording and go and wash some pots and then come back and we'll finish this particular round, I think. Okay, well after all that, I haven't actually got an alternative to one of these. It's going to have to manage in one that I think's a smidge too big, but I think it'll be okay. It's not too bad. It'll give the roots room to expand. So I'm just going to use a basic bark mix. I've got Orchid Focus, and I've got some that I got through the East Midlands Orchid Society, which I think I can use okay with this one. A bit in the bottom to keep that clear. Always said by the experts that you've got to acknowledge their expertise. That's why they are experts. He said, showing his knowledge of the English language. That when you hear things crunch when you're potting, particularly thick-rooted things like Phalaenopsis, it's the bark, it's not the roots. But I can't say that it's ever filled me with great joy to be hearing things go crack, crunch, but I think with this we should be okay. It's going in pretty well, I think. Got it down a little bit further. It's not down as far as I would like, but I think that will be fine. I've got all those roots pretty much tucked back into the pot, so I think I certainly got them further down, and I think that now we've got, I noticed there was a new root tip showing, so I think that will be okay, and it'll just be a matter of putting the repotting date on that stake. Right, now we'll have a look at this Twinkle. It's not been done ever such a long time. This is the white Twinkle. I've got a pink Twinkle. The funny thing is that this one was in a poorest state when I bought it. Did very well the year before last, very badly last year, whereas the other one did better. And I repotted it, and it's slightly kicked on, but as I said earlier on, it's climbed up in the pot as I've watered it and what have you. It's climbed out of the pot. You can see it's loose in the pot. We're getting absolutely nowhere. It's not been done all that long. I don't think the bark would be a problem if I didn't do anything else with it. But there are a number of new growths around and about, but you've got several old bulbs that want fetching off, that aren't doing anything at all, and that look quite ratty. But we have got some new roots. I can see a new root there. So if I take these older bulbs off that are just flat and really not looking very clever, and then we'll see where we go from there. Now then. So that's taken those three off. I've got some cinnamon there to seal everything up again. No sign of any nasties, thank goodness. That's another one that's no good. That's no good at all. Yeah, there are a number of new growths that are coming. Problem appears to be with this, that these old sheaths, the remains of old bracts, are not clearing properly, and it's causing issues for anything that wants to develop from the same area. So there's something decidedly odd here. We've got something there that I don't understand. I don't know if it's the bulb forming or what it is, but we have got quite a few rather ratty old sheaths and things in there, so I'll trim what I can away, try not to do any more damage than I've got to do, but there's all sorts of rubbish in the middle, and I'm just not going to start hacking and chopping and doing. I'm just going to let things lie now. Hopefully, if I can get this further down in its pot, so that this part is more or less level with the potting medium, everything will do a lot better. There's quite a few new growths in there, so we have got the chance. If I can get it down into that pot like that, I shall be happy. I'm just not sure whether no, that's too big. We know Oncidiums like to be tight, but this is no good at all. So let's see what we can do with this. I don't normally video packing these things with bark, but I'm going to do this for my own records as much as anything else, because this is a funny one and I want to really try and make sure I've got it better than I did last time, because as long as I don't knock any of them off, we've got a lot of new growth. There's a lot of potential in this plant, but not until I can get it where it can sort itself out again. The first, as I say, when I first got it, it was in a real state, and all the pseudo bulbs had gone flat, and I repotted it and they re-inflated, believe it or not, for the most part, and it flowered very, very well the first year, and then last year it just didn't seem to, and I think it was another one of those where I left the compost just a wee bit too long, and it doesn't take a lot. I'm seeing that with some of my other plants. I'll show you in a couple of seconds what I mean, but I've been working my way around to some of these repot sort of wanted doing for a bit. And I do have a bad habit of potting my orchids too high, and I do my level best not to, but it doesn't always work. But I think that now is considerably lower in the pot, as I was hoping. I've got the medium much nearer the level of where the new growths are emerging, so the roots should be able to find their way out and down quickly, and there's a little bit of room, it's more central than it was. So that then is my white Twinkle. Right, I've got this Dendrobium, kingianum, probably silcockii. It's quite a small plant. I've seen the mother plant that this came off at the East Midlands Orchid Society, and it's absolutely immense and looks fabulous when it's flowering on lots of canes, but this one only flowered on one. But I don't know, there's something about it doesn't look terribly happy, so if nothing else I want to see what's down here. Well, we've got a lot of roots. I don't know how many of them are in great condition, but we've got a lot of roots. We've got some back bulbs that are firm, but not really doing a fat lot. There's no new growths showing as far as I can see, but I think it's time. I think this is going to take me a little while, so I'll knock the camera off for a bit. It certainly feels like it wants doing. The bottom of this is quite damp and it's beginning to smell, so I'll have a play with this and then we'll come back in a minute. Okay, I've cleaned most of it up. Unsurprisingly, most of the roots at this end are not wonderful, but there are some that are viable, so I'm not going to take these off. They're not shrivelling too much, they're all on a level, so I'm going to worry about burying them. No great surprise that all the good, very good roots, and there are quite a few very good roots, are on this front end where all this new growth is. They didn't look wonderful, but I've just soaked them for probably a minute and most have swollen, so I think we've got something that will be fine once it's settled. I'm not going to put it into anything very much bigger than what it's come out of. That was, where are we? A 65 centimetre pot, and that is an 8 centimetre pot. So not a lot bigger, not very much deeper, but it should, if I get my repotting right, give me room for it to grow onwards and outwards. Give it a little bit of room to move. So it's just going to be a matter now of getting the old bark going, and that's going to be fairly boring, I think. So I'll do that and I'll come back. So there we are then, that's got it backed up. I've got the older part towards the back of the pot. We've got the front edge here. So hopefully, if and when it puts some new growth out, and looking at the state of the roots, it certainly should be capable of keeping itself hydrated and what have you. I think we can look forward to getting some new growths before very much longer, but it's now got space to move and some new bark. I forget when I got this, but it's a while ago because we haven't been having society meetings for quite a little while. And it wasn't the last one that I bought this at, so that is Dendrobium kingianum variant silcockii. Okay, the one that is likely to be the most awkward. This is Dendrobium oligophyllum. I really don't want to lose this. It's flowered for me twice now, and it's flowered extremely well. So I really want this to do better, or continue to do well at least. So I need to get it out of the pot. I bought this from Burnham's not quite 2 years ago now. So it's almost certainly well ready for a look at. I think we've got all sorts of things in this pot. Yeah, there's bark, there's sort of lava rock type stuff, and down in the middle of it we've got a moss plug, and that's what I was told I would have real difficulty getting out, just because of the very, very fine roots that this thing grows. So you can see that they're not massive, they're not as small as I was sort of led to believe, but they certainly aren't foul roots. So it is going to be a fiddle, and I think again it's going to be better if I do this off camera, because it could take a little while, and it's just very painstaking. So rather than put you to the pains while I take them, I'm going to turn the camera off and see whether I can manage to repot this without trashing it. Okay, I managed to get most of the moss off. Unfortunately I did knock the biggest of the new growths off, which was not what I was trying to do. We've still got several left, and I'm going to put it into a mix of the stones that came with it, small bark, moss, perlite and charcoal. I'm just going to sit it back in the same pot it came out of, probably a little bit lower. But whereas it had a moss plug before, I've chopped the moss up and put it in here. So try to get it throughout the mix, or more distributed through the mix, in the hope that it will make it a bit easy to repot next time. But on the whole, I think that's gone reasonably well. Just need to finish backing round the edges. I think that is going to do the job. That actually was a bit easier than I thought it was going to be, and I think it's going to be a little bit more stable than it was before as well. So it's been moved down a touch, and it's in the mix rather than being sitting in the moss plug, which was surrounded by stuff, and I had real problems with it for a long time. Just you try and do anything with it, move it, sneeze anywhere near it, and it would fall out of the pot. Well, I think now that's got it pretty much organised. Well, I hope so anyway. We can only wait and see, but we have got some new growths, and it's got some new bark. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope that's been interesting. It's certainly been a little bit different. Oh, I said, didn't I, that I would show you something about how things can go if they've been repotted. I have shown this a couple of times before, but this is my only cattleya, my white one, which did nothing last year. The roots, any roots it put out just turned black and died off. And I repotted it, and ever since it's gone berserk. It's putting roots out, great big long roots, which are obviously feeding it really well. This growth is absolutely hurting along. We've got another one in the background that's near the middle of the plant that's also beginning to move as well, but that side tends to grow slightly smaller growths. But I'm very pleased with the way this has gone. Unfortunately, it's ended up a little bit high, so quite how we'll end up with that in the long term, I don't know. I don't know whether it's going to have a second new growth this year, but we've already got quite a significant bulge at the base of this one. So this hasn't matured yet, and something's happening down at the base. So I'm going to keep my fingers firmly crossed with that, but I think that this is going to do really well. So, thank you everybody for watching, as I hope that's been of some interest, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.